Okay, let's begin with today's lecture. So now we are at a position where we are going to investigate the short channel effects which are pertinent for the ultra short channel devices. So by ultra short channel devices, I'm essentially referring to the nano electronic devices whose dimensions will be lesser than 100 nanometers. Okay, so the thing which we are going to study today for the velocity saturation effects. So today is going to be the first part. The second part will be on our next lecture. Now, these effects are not dealt with in most of the standard textbooks because these are very, very recent topics which have come up in the modern technology. So let us first understand the velocity saturation effect. Remember that when we were dealing with the generalized scaling theory, I did mention about this velocity saturation regime and long channel devices. Okay, so in the long channel case, you will be having different set of scaling relationships rather, whereas in case of this ultra short channel devices or nanoscale devices or velocity saturation devices, we are going to have a different set of relations, right? So let us understand what we mean by that. So the moment we reach around 45 nanometer technology node, it can be 65 nanometer as well. Okay, in these technology nodes, even if we are trying to do planar, please understand that if we want to go below 45 nanometers, then we cannot essentially get any reliable device operation if we are going for planar technology, the one which I have shown over here, the typical planar technology. No, this conventional device has to be changed into 3D device. Okay, so that is the reason why in modern technology at 14 nanometers, 10 nanometers, and 7 nanometer technology nodes, we are always having 3D and multi-gate devices. Okay, so this is the situation for 45 nanometer, 65 nanometer, 90 nanometer, these technology nodes where you can still afford planar technology. Okay, but you will be having a lot of velocity saturation effects coming into the picture. So let's look into it. So let us talk about 45 or 65 nanometer technology node. And then what we realize is this uh, the region under the gate stack, specifically what we refer to as the effective channel length, is the distance between the source channel junction here and the drain channel junction here. This is the normal, the most standard definition of effective channel length. But however, you must remember that as in the case of we have already seen in our last lecture when we were dealing with um, this lowly doped pocket halos, right? Okay, we have already seen that in our previous lecture. This was uh, one of the solutions to the problems which we were having. So now, if we want to have those pocket halos, invariably your effective channel length will be even lower. So let's not get into that. So as we can just we have to realize as of now is that as we go deeper into the nanotechnology regime, then the effective channel length ceases to be the distance between the source channel junction and the drain channel junction. It might be even lower than that. Okay, so just keep that concept in mind. So whenever I'm talking about 45 nanometer technology node, remember it may not exactly mean the distance between these two junctions, may not be. Okay, right. So I mean, in fact, in one of the previous lectures, I had also explained like how do you define this 45 nanometer as a technology node? That is defined by the by what? Can anybody tell?
The perforation in the mask.
Perforation in the mask. Correct. So that means it is essentially given by this length here. So you can somehow say that the technology node, this is not the LCH. No, this is not the LCH. This is rather you can call it L gate or the perforation in the mask. I think Ashok said that. Okay, so this is very important for us to note because this is something which you have in control. The perforation on the mask, which will essentially give you the gate effective gate, but not the channel length. Okay, so keep that in mind, because now our PMMD has gone into the next level. Okay, so where we will be dealing with, uh, I mean, the latest technology, current state of the art. Okay, so when we are talking about 45 nanometers, then first of all, the channel length is smaller. And then what happens is, if the channel length is smaller, then what our this entire region, as we have dealt with in our previous lecture, we are going to make it low doped region. Okay, so if we are keeping this low doped in the case of SOI devices, I will come into SOI very soon. What happens is the fields over here will be very high, and then especially in the saturation region, what happens? There will be channel length modulation. Your channel will be something like this. So beyond that, if we were dealing with long channel devices, long channel में क्या हो रहा था कि we were thinking that okay, this was very small compared to the channel length, and as a consequence there will be tunneling in this small region, and that tunneling will happen in which speed? Saturation rate velocity, correct? But that is definitely this pinch of region, as we call it technically. This pinch of region is very small compared to the channel length if we are talking about 45 micrometer technology, let us say. Okay, so if it is a microelectronic, so PMMD is all about microelectronic devices, but I'm teaching you extra. So in nanoscale devices, what is going to happen is the channel length itself is 45 nanometers. And then this velocity saturation regime is something which you cannot ignore. And in that situation, we have to investigate that whether the current equation, the VDSAT equation, whether they remain the same or not. Because now you can now realize the conjecture you are in. So you are essentially dealing with 45 nanometer is also an old technology node, by the way. So current technology is 7 nanometers, and industry is pushing towards 5 nanometers in recent years, quite recently. So that means 7 nanometer is already in vogue. So currently your smartphones might be having 7 nanometer technology node inside it. So 5 nanometer within the next 2 years. So now what I'm suggesting is, so if we are having 7 nanometers and 5 nanometer technology node, then today's lecture is what you should understand. Okay, forget about the previous things which we have done. Of course, in today's lecture, you will not be able to make any sense if you do not know the large channel situation, long channel situation. All right, so let's begin. So first of all, I will refer to the velocity field relationship, which we did in the very beginning of this course, within the first 1 month of this course, when we were speaking about drift velocity and field relation. So what was it like? Remember, it used to go and then it will saturate. So we will call it as the drift velocity VDR. This is your field. And then there is a critical field here, which I shall call it as FC, which is the critical field, beyond which your VDR sat roughly becomes constant. Okay, so this is your VDR sat. Okay, so all the theory, all the textbooks, whatever you have seen, they have defined that this region, this is, I mean, all the microelectronic devices, microelectronic course, this course inclusive, VLSI design course, everything where you learn, whatever you learn, they are essentially referring to this particular region. As you can see, that is linear. Okay, so this linear relation is basically what? VDR is proportional to F. Okay, this implies that VDR is equal to mu n into F. This mu n is the proportionality constant, and that is called the mobility. All of us know that. And this is what leads to the ohmic region. Okay. Okay. So all the metals, they basically have FC much larger. So is much larger for metals, and that is the reason why No matter how much field you apply, you are always going to stay in this ohmic region. So metals are always ohmic. Okay, they are conductors. Now, in case of semiconductors, however, this Fc is comparatively lower in terms of the metals in comparison with the metals. So what happens is, it is possible for us to reach Fc, and we can actually provide capital F, that is the electric field, which can exceed Fc. So that means you are not going to have this linear relationship between the drift velocity and the field, and as a consequence, the drift velocity will saturate beyond this Fc. And this Fc is very, very commonly exceeded in nanometer scale. So the voltage which you are going to apply in 45 nanometers, that VDD, is equal to 1 volt. Okay, so if you are applying 1 volt over here, so 1 divided by this distance, let us say 45 nanometer itself, it is going to be much larger than the Fc of the device. Critical field of the, not the device. Fc is basically a material property. So what happens is the drift velocity saturates. Okay, so when you are operating a MOSFET at 45 nanometer or 65 nanometers in its saturation region or in the pinch off region, which is very common, right? You know that in analog applications, even in digital applications, there are instances where the devices will be in under saturation. So once it is in saturation, then this modeling part will come into the picture. And once we take this velocity saturation into our modeling, you will be surprised to see that many of the standard relationships between current and voltage, ID as a function of VGS, ID as a function of VDS, they will break down. Okay, they will not be valid anymore. So how do we deal with it? So let's look at it. So the drift velocity VDR is given in general way, in a general terms, general expressions, mu n capital F by this factor, where small n is equal to 2 for electrons and 1 for holes. Okay, this n equal to 2 and n equal to 1 are determined through experiments. Okay, they are determined through experiments. So in reality, when you are essentially doing practical circuitry, you will notice that n will have a value between 1 and 2. So what does it imply? That when n equal to 2, ideally for electrons, then VDR will be essentially mu n into F by 1 plus F by Fc square, and this is root because n equal to 2. Okay, square root, and this is square. For n equal to 1, which is for the holes, we will have mu n F, this is 1, so that is root will be gone, 1 plus F by Fc. Now, n is usually greater than 1, less than 2, as I said. So n greater than 1 is a measure of how rapidly the carriers reach saturation. Okay, so that means the small n is the factor which will determine how fast the material will ensure that the velocity, the carriers will essentially move into saturation regime. Okay. So we all know that the holes are more massive compared to the electrons, and as a consequence, this n is actually minimum, that is n equal to 1. For example, in case of electrons, n equal to 2 or close to 2, which simply implies that your VDR sat is going to be larger. Okay, here it is root, here it is not, so that way. Okay. Now, if we want to do the modeling, we have to incorporate this whole expression inside the modeling for the current. Please understand that in the current modeling, IV modeling, which we did previously in our course, which was valid for long channel devices, we only took this part. Okay, why? Because we were dealing with low field case. That means the fields F were much lower than Fc. So we ignored the velocity saturation effects. But in nano electronic devices, we have to take care of that as well. Okay. So now let us look into this. Where is it? For simplicity's case, what we will do is we will investigate with n equal to 1. Okay, not necessarily for the holes. All we are suggesting is that, okay, even if it, let us see what happens when we put n equal to 1, because n equal to 2 will make it slightly more complicated in the modeling aspect. So let us do it for the holes only. Okay, so the first thing is that, notice when the applied fields, let us say the vertical field or the horizontal field, if this applied field exceeds fc, then what is the situation here? In this relation, we are investigating for n equal to 1, okay, for simplicity. So if f is much larger than fc, okay, you can ignore this 1 with respect to this factor, then this f and f will cancel. What you will get is vdr sat will mu n into fc. So we have chosen vdr sat with a negative because fc will essentially be minus dv dx. Later on we will see that. Okay, so what do we get from here is that the critical field fc is given by minus vdr sat by mu n. Okay, so once we have this relation, then let us look into the very basic drift equation, drift current equation, which we saw previously in our course itself. So id is equal to w. Remember, the drift equation actually had current density. Okay, so here we will have to deal with the current, so we will multiply with the area. Area is w into the thickness of the channel, okay, thickness of the inversion layer. Okay, so w into integral of dy multiplied by q n vdr. Q here I'm speaking about electrons. Please note that I have written minus q, but if it is electron, we are supposed to accurately, if we are looking into it, we are supposed to take this relation with the square, but we are avoiding this square just for simplicity's sake. However, if we want to do it for the holes, if we want to do it for the holes, we are still going to have a plus q over here. Okay, so only the direction of the currents will change. All right, so this is nxy dy and this vdr. So nq vdr, look at this, nq vdr, this is the current density equation multiplied by w into dy is the area. Okay, so from here I will just put in our old friend inversion charge. Okay, so minus q into this factor, this is already known to you. So if you are following it regularly, this course, this should be known to you. So once we put into this, you are left with a very simple relation like that, wq inversion into vdr. Okay, so now in our previous modeling approach for long channel devices, we ignored this part where vdr was basically this. So we ignored. Why did we ignore that? Very simple. We always thought that this f, capital F, is lower than fc. So the fields were actually lower than the critical field fc. So if it is somewhere here, okay, so what we will understand, what we understand, what do we realize is that the drift velocity is proportional to the field, and that's exactly the ohmic region that we had considered earlier. But as of now, we will take the entire relation, entire variation of the drift velocity with the field. So once we get this, then instead of this capital F, I'm going to put minus dv dx. That is the lateral field. Okay, and instead of fc, I'm going to put this relation here. Okay, now how do I develop the model for the current? Okay, all I'm going to do is this entire numerator, entire denominator, what we find over here will be, I'll be multiplying this with the left hand side id. So that becomes id into 1 is id. This minus and minus will cancel, so you are left with mu n into id into dv dx divided by vdr sat. Got it? Is equal to, the numerator is mu n wq inversion dv dx. This minus comes out. Okay, then I shall bring this factor on the right hand side, and I'll take minus dVdx outside the third bracket. Okay, mu n W Q inversion plus mu n ID by VDR-SAT. Okay, so this is basically the modeling approach for velocity saturation regime nano electronic devices. Okay, I'm just pausing here. I'm trying to ensure that you are understanding whatever I'm saying. Okay, this is going to be a little bit complicated, but at least I mean, you have to know how these derivations are until the endsem. After the endsems are over, you can forget the derivation, but you should remember the final results, at least until your interviews. After your interviews are over, you are not my responsibility. After you get the job, rather. Okay, so now this is minus dVdx and this third bracket. Okay, so now what we shall do is, yeah, this dx, I shall bring it on the left hand side, and the right hand side, if you notice, Q inversion is a function of the voltage V. Here I have written it once again. This is known to everybody. So Q inversion is a function of V. ID is a constant throughout the channel. So you are left with this relation here. This dV, remember, it's along the x-axis, right? So that's what I have done. So the x-axis variation is from 0 to capital L. Capital L is the effective channel length, and the voltages are between 0 to VDS. Okay. If you can recall, this factor is the new term which has come into our current equation. Okay. So once we do that, you can clearly understand ID is constant across any cross section of the channel. So ID is outside the integral. So you are simply going to have a VDS here. And here you will be having capital. So now this ID terms, I will essentially combine together on the left hand side. So this becomes L. Okay, 0 to L dx becomes L here. And 0 to VDS dV becomes simply VDS. So mu n VDS by VDR-SAT. That's this term. Okay, is equal to, then comes this factor minus mu n W, which is a constant, and 0 to VDS Q inversion V dV is equal to. Now notice this entire third bracket over here is independent of V, capital V. Okay, this I shall bring it on the denominator. ID is equal to minus mu n W by L. I have taken this L out, so that becomes mu n VDS by L VDR-SAT, and 0 to VDS Q inversion dV. All I have to do right now is I'll just replace this Q inversion by this factor. This is a second approach of MOSFET current equation which we had done in our course. Okay, there we had dealt with the IV modeling in 3 different approaches, right? So the second approach. So ID is equal to this same thing I have just copied here. Instead of Q inversion, I have just taken minus COX outside the integral, and you will be left with VOV minus MV dV. So that essentially gives you the final relation. So this is the current under velocity saturation. It's not current saturation. Current saturation model we will come later. That is very complicated. Okay, so this is basically the overall current under velocity saturation. Okay, please understand this. Current under velocity saturation. So how is it different from the previous one? For long channel devices, now notice, for long channel devices, this capital L is much larger. So if this capital L is larger, this mu n VDS by VDR-SAT, if this factor will be much smaller compared to 1. So what will happen? You will be left with mu n COX W by L VOV minus M by 2 VDS into VDS. So this is essentially the long channel situation. So in this modeling, what we have done is we have taken the velocity saturation effects into our consideration, and we ended up in this relation. Okay, so you can clearly understand if capital L is larger. Now, larger means how much larger? When capital, so all we are suggesting is when one is much larger than mu n VDS by L VDR sat. Therefore, VDR sat, or rather let us say L, capital L, should be much larger than okay. So this is your limit where you have to think about applying um, the long channel approximation. So the long channel situation is valid only for the long channel L. Okay. The long channel approximation is valid only for this particular situation. Okay, everybody with me? Yeah. So what happens is only then you are going to use it. Later on in our part 2 of this, I mean 2 lectures on this velocity saturation effects, we will understand the meaning of this mu n VDS by VDR sat. So once we are essentially finding out the value of this to get some mathematical idea, or rather in terms of values, ये कितना हो सकता है, then you will realize कि this capital L, what is the limit? Like as I said, for 65 nanometers, 45 nanometers, you have to think about this relation rather than the previous one where we could ignore this. So in 45 and 65 nanometers, you cannot ignore this factor. Okay, na? So that will become clear when we look into these values. Okay. All right. Now, okay, why don't we do it now itself? Let's investigate. Let's do the calculation right away in front of you. I don't know the value yet, so let us find out. 1350 centimeter square per volt per second multiplied by 1 volt divided by VDR sat is 10 power 7. Let us say what is the value here. Okay. So how much is the value did we get? Okay, it is centimeters per second. So 10 power 7. Yeah. So how much is the value here? Remember, whatever we have got is in centimeters. Okay. So over here it will be, so if it is centimeters, so
1.35 micrometers.
1.35 here centimeters. Yeah, 1.35 micrometer. Okay. So what we realize is the moment we are essentially going below 1 micron, okay, below 1 micron technology, you are going to have these effects kind of, I mean, these effects will start coming into the picture. Okay. So now think about the situation where we are essentially dealing with 7 nanometers. Okay. So now you realize that when we were dealing with, now you can realize the concept of micrometer technology and nanometer technology, microelectronic devices and nanoelectronic devices. Okay, understand that. So if it is micro, that means the devices are larger than 1 micron, definitely larger than 1 micron. So what we realize is that if we are going below micron, that means submicron technology, you are going to have these relations. submicron mein hi. In submicron itself, you are going to have these relations. So even at 180 nanometers, you should do this. Okay, so this is why I thought I will show you this one. This will make some sense. Okay, so now I'll get back to the window. Fine. So this is what we got from the current level. So now you have got an idea that when going for the submicron technology, less than 1 micrometer, especially in the nano electronic, that means less than 100 nanometers, then you definitely have to take care of this particular factor. Okay. Now the thing is, what industry will be doing is they will be using the 7 nanometer library and 7 nanometer, 45 nanometer library, and you will be making the circuit designs. Now the trouble with that is that means you are essentially dependent on that library. So there are experts somewhere in the world who are essentially creating those 7 nanometer libraries, right? So when you are interested with development of the library, then you have to keep this in mind. Otherwise, you can understand what will happen. You will blindly, you will rely on 45 nanometer technology node library. You know? But if that library is developed without the factor, without taking this into consideration, what will happen? You are going to end up in all nonsense results. Okay. So if you ever, I mean, velocities, I'll tell you one thing, this velocity saturation and all this, they may not be that much, I mean, the kind of job profiles which you will be expecting out of after your MTech, I guess mostly your interviewers themselves, they don't know about this velocity saturation regime. Okay. I mean, the recruiters who will come over here, who will take your interview, they themselves, they don't know this velocity saturation. If you can explain this before them, your job is definitely yours. Nobody can stop you. In fact, you may be knowing better than your recruiters. However, this I'm teaching for those of you who finally want to get into R&D in industry, or you want to become a faculty, or you want to go into research later on. So this velocity saturation regime is in the research domain, R&D domain. So for example, after your MTech is over, once you get into Intel, over there, you will never ever come across this. All you will come across is your like PI, project lead will provide you with this 5 nanometer library, and you will be asked to design circuits based on that. At most, in fact, you don't even have to design circuits there. Okay, so this PMMD and the advanced VLSI design is actually, I mean, at least the way I'm teaching, it is way above your industrial requirements. But the problem is in the during the placements interviews, they will be asking you much higher than their actual requirements. So once you get into the industry, you'll be bored because the kind of jobs, the kind of work that you will be doing will be way stupid compared to what you are learning here. But if you ever, after 10 years, if you ever get into the R&D sector of industry, if you ever do a PhD, and after PhD you join into some another industry where you are in the R&D sector, they are the people who are developing this library. They are the people who are actually designing circuits. Over there, please remember these things. Okay, because then you will require all this velocity saturation effects into the picture. Okay, so all I'm suggesting is that don't think once you have got the job after like 6 months or so, after you have got, I mean, you don't need this, you can forget what Surya sir told. But remember that whether you like it or not, you need to bring this into your consideration, or you have to revive these knowledge if you want to improve your position in the industry. Or if you want to think that, okay, I will stay in the lowest rank engineer in Intel for the rest of my life, then you can ignore these classes. or even ignore these topics. Okay, but all I'm suggesting is that please take this seriously. You might think that I will be anyway given the library, so why do I have to bother about all this? Please remember, at some point of your time when you will become 40 years, then probably you need to know this. In fact, we are, I mean, I'm not picking any names here. I know someone um, who is a senior person in industry. However, he is he has lost his job, and he's why did he lose his job? And he's in his 50s. Okay, in industrial R&D, because he doesn't have a PhD, hasn't bothered about going into all this advanced knowledge. So what has happened is, why did he lose his job? Because right now the industry finds that there are younger generation students like yourself, some of you who will be interested in all this. They will essentially, they know all this, but a 50-year-old person, more senior, more having much more experience in industrial experience than a novice like you guys, but he doesn't know all that. But now the problem is, since he is now 50 years in industry, 50-year-old person in industry, so basically he cannot be given a lowest engineer rank over there. Okay, he has to be paid more because of his experience. But the trouble is, he doesn't know this. He can be put into R&D with his experience, but for R&D he needs to know all that, but he doesn't know. So now he is currently out of job. Okay, he cannot switch to another industry because the new industry is thinking that why are we going to pay him like 2.5 lakhs per month, but he doesn't even know how to develop the library, for example. Given a library, you are going to make a circuit design, that is fine when you are, let us say, your age is like how much, 25. But when you are 45, okay, at that time you need to know all this. Okay, so I'm telling you that just do not think that you have got a job means it's perfectly, I mean, life is rosy, because uh, yes, it's really a great thing, great deal to get a good job. But again, you have to kind of, grow in that industry also. So for that growth, this will be important. Okay, enough of loose talk. Let's come back to business. So once we have obtained the current expression, now our objective will be to figure out what will be the saturation velocity. Sorry, saturation voltage. That means the pinch of voltage, VDSAT. Okay, I'm now looking for VDSAT. I'll write it here. So VDSAT under the velocity saturation regime. Okay, so let's revise what we already know before we even start. For long channel devices, we used to have this relation. In fact, you can get it from this here also. Just put capital L is larger than this so that you can ignore this denominator. You will be having this relation. Yeah, we all know this. We also do this. So in the uh, saturation region, remember current is becoming flat or almost flat. So what will happen? Del ID del VDS will be equal to 0. That's the reason why you get very, very high output resistance, right? RO is almost infinite. So if you're putting equal to 0, then you will be left with VOV minus MVDSAT. So वहां से हम लोगों ने क्या मिला था हमको VDSAT is equal to VOV by M. So this is known to everybody. This is for long channel device. We want to find out what is the value of VDSAT when the device is in the velocity saturation regime. The equation is already here. As you can see, it is way more complicated than this simple one. So let us see how we obtain this. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'll again use the same thing, velocity, saturation velocity. Oh, sorry, saturation voltage, VDSAT. Okay, or pinch of voltage. So pinch of voltage under velocity saturation regime. So delta ID del VDS as usual equal to 0. I'll do it for this equation here. So let us look out, let us watch out for the various VDSAT. VDSAT is here, VDSAT is here, and VDSAT is there. Okay, so I'll just take the derivative. Okay, very simple. Okay, first term is basically the derivative of the numerator here. That will become VOV minus M VDSAT minus the next derivative term is basically derivative of the denominator, because this also has one VDS. Okay, so I've done that. Then what you will observe here is, since this is 0, I can put an equal to over here. That's what I've done. Then mu n Cox W by L on the left hand side, right hand side also has mu n Cox W by L. They will cancel. 1 plus this whole term and this term, there is a square. So I'm going to cancel one of the power over here. Okay. Then I shall simply multiply the left hand side with this denominator is equal to this mu n VDSAT over here. Mu n VDSAT by L VDR sat. VDR sat is did velocity saturation and VDSAT is VDS saturation as the voltage. That is VOV minus M by 2 VDSAT. Then I'll just expand this, and what we will observe is that mu n VDSAT VOV by L VDR sat, mu n VDSAT VOV by L VDR sat. They are the same on the both sides. We'll cancel. Amazing. So 0 is equal to, I'm putting all the left hand side on the right hand side here is equal to this, and you reach VD sat is equal to this. Notice it is a square. Okay. Previously, when we were dealing with long channel devices, this term won't even appear. So if this term doesn't appear, VD sat square doesn't appear, then what you will observe is twice L VDR sat by mu n, twice L VDR sat by mu n. So basically VD sat will be equal to simply VOV by M. That's exactly what we got previously for long channel device. So for nanoscale device, submicron device, then this VD sat square is creating all the problem. So if it is a parabolic expression, you are supposed to get one plus and minus also, right? But notice that the first term over here is minus, but VD sat has to be positive, right? So this minus is not even possible. Got it? Then all I have done is I have just solved this one, this second order equation. And then what is the VD sat here? What I have done is, this doesn't give you a physical understanding of the actual relation. It is way more complicated than the previous one. So what I've done is I have simply done some algebra so that we will get a better physical feel or physical interpretation of the VD sat with respect to the long channel, because I'm assuming over here that all of you are experts in the long channel part. Okay, so VD sat will be equal to, I have simply multiplied the numerator, this one, and the denominator by this factor with a minus here. If you notice the first third bracket over here, this term is nothing other than the first one. I'm just multiplying and numerator denominator by the same factor with the minus here, so that I can apply a square minus b square formula in the numerator. So once we do it, what will happen? This minus LVDR sat, this is minus LVDR sat by mu n. So these two terms here, they will become square. So you are left with LVDR sat by mu n whole square. This minus is gone. This is plus, this is minus. So we will be having minus of this root is there, right? So this root will go away. So you will be left with LVDR sat by mu n whole square minus of this term twice VOV and LVDR sat by mu n with the root gone. So good for us. These are essentially cancelled out. And in the denominator, you are left with this. All I'm going to do is I'll take this minus LVDR sat by mu n outside the third brackets because it's common everywhere. So it is 1 plus this, and interestingly this minus minus cancels, and this LVDR sat by mu n, LVDR sat by mu n gets cancelled. So finally our expression becomes twice VOV by m divided by this. Okay, let me pause for a minute. These derivations are something which you can check it out at in your hostels later. Okay, everyone. Okay, so now when I put L is very large, L equal to infinity. Infinity is too much. Infinity makes no sense. So let us say when L uh, is greater than 1 micrometer. We have seen, right? When L is around 1.35 micrometer or something, then you have to consider this. Don't have to consider this. So basically, when L is greater than this, what will happen? This term you can ignore. Ignore in the sense it will be much lesser compared to 1. So what is there? This is 1 plus root over 1. So that is 2. This 2 and 2 will cancel. And essentially, you'll be left with how much? VOV by M. Okay, so this is for the long channel device. This is for the short channel is not the right word. Submicron device. Okay. Now, I, frankly speaking, just before the class, I did not have the time to derive this. Okay. This is for the current expression. So the final current expression will be like this. Again, if you notice, if L is large, I mean, I'll put the derivation later. If L is very large, then you can understand that this entire part, okay, this divided by this, so this entire part 2 mu n VOV by huge. So this becomes how much? 0. This becomes 0. So 1 minus 1. So this entire ID sat, okay, is essentially coming out to be how much? We will look into it in the next class. It appears to be going towards 0, right? Huh? So there is also a factor that VDR sat over here. We will look into it in the next class. So that means your ID sat is definitely going to be different from the ID sat which you had seen earlier. And another most important point is, notice here, we will understand this relation in the next class in much more details. Notice that ID sat here, if you notice W, COX, VDR sat, these are all constants. So it is now proportional to VOV. Think, observe, apply your intellect here. What did we notice earlier?
Dependent on VGS.
It's actually,
That reservoir example that you have given.
yeah. So what happens is, this VOV is essentially, I mean, in our long channel device, we had seen that it was proportional to VOV square. Okay. Here it is just VOV. So what do we realize is that if we are trying to use submicron technology, nanoscale technology, then IDSAT will essentially become proportional to VOV. Okay, it's not a square relation anymore. So we will look into these consequences in our next class. Okay, so I think that's all for today.
Hello?
Yeah,
So, yes, sir. So, sir, how does the lightly doped fin will have the mobility higher?
Where is it?
I mean, it's a doubt from when I'm reading a textbook. I got that.
No, if you are, first of all, if you are doping it less, okay, if you are doping it less, what happens is you are essentially decreasing the number of ions inside the depletion region. Okay, so out of the various scattering factors, one is the electron-electron scattering, then electron-phonon scattering, and what is the electron-ion scattering. This factor essentially reduces. So what happens is this 1, 2, 3. Out of these three factors, the sum of these three factors will essentially give you the resistivity, which is anyway related to the mobility of this. So what happens is if you want to increase the mobility, you should try to decrease the doping concentration. But there is a catch over here. Why did we dope in the first place? Because the doping will essentially give us the value of n to increase. Okay, so number of free carriers will increase with the doping. So if you're looking at the current density factor, so NQ VDR, so instead of VDR, let us say the mobility into the field. Okay, so again, low field approximation over here. I am not taking the critical field and all that. So what we observe is that if you are increasing the doping, your N will automatically increase, but your mobility slightly decreases. Okay, now it becomes sort of a trade-off, that if you are essentially trying to increase the N value, you should increase the doping. But at the same time, okay, if you are looking for low power technologies and all that, then you are not bothered about increasing this value of N, because you are anyway going to have, you are trying to have lower currents, right? So in that case, what we will try to do is N we will not increase. But again, if you want to scale the device, you have to anyway increase the doping. But the downside of doping is that आपका mu n will graduate, it will decrease, but it will not decrease to an extent that it is going to affect the current so much. So current has got both n and mu n in the expression. Okay, so it's a trade-off between that. Okay, I think,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
And so diffusion naturally happens because of the concentration gradient. So
Yes,
so there is another factor which is the internal electric field is also affecting the diffusion of the carriers. I mean,
internal electric field, sorry.
yes, sir. I mean the Fick's law.
Okay, that is because of the depletion region fields and all that, right?
Yes, sir. Actually,
No, even if that is there, but I'll tell you, the final current which we are concerned about, please understand that if there are certain internal fields, those effects will happen in the localized regions. Okay, but the final current which will essentially we should be interested in is the current which is coming out of the terminal. And this terminal currents are essentially determined by the terminal voltages. Okay, so the Fick's law, the Gaussian doping profile, and then let us say the Debye length kind of issues, all those are basically internal to the device. So that will not lead to the current which you are interested in when you are making that device an active component of the circuit. Okay, so when we are looking for the currents here, you have to bother about this VOV, because that has the VGS term here, or the VDS. Okay, because the terminal voltages, I mean the currents due to the terminal voltages are the only currents which will essentially lead to the circuit operation. Got it? For example, all the contact potentials internal to each and every junction, as I had explained in that offline class. So it's the same thing. Like those internal properties of the device do not affect the terminal currents. Fine? Right. Anything else? Okay, so we'll stop here today.